Hello and welcome to New You Wow, where we celebrate epic achievements and breakthroughs throughout the community around the world. Today we are honored to be joined by Edna White, the editor of Speak Magazine, host of Wounded to Wonderful and Keeping It Real podcast, and one of the most recognized selling authors with over 22 books. Now, note, she is a childhood sexual abuse survivor, a community advocate, life purpose coach, and an ordained evangelist. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful.
Nice to be here.
So good to have you. So we understand that you actually empower females that want to recover after being stuck, that really want visibility. They no longer want to hide, and they're looking to reclaim their power and build their vision in life, love, and business. How were you first drawn to help in this way? When were you first bit by the bug?
I was bit by the bug a long time ago, but I didn't pay attention to the sting. And then finally, when I had like issues that I had to self-educate, then I said, okay, if I'm self-educating, someone else is. So in 2015, I decided, okay, this is no longer can be hid under the bush, and I got to get it out and start, doing what I needed to do. So started helping and empowering people first with those that experienced sexual trauma, and then kind of it broadened after that. And then I was working with those in the public sector, mayors, professional CEOs, and to my surprise, I'm not really surprised, but you know how you think like people who make money, lots of money, they're great, and to my surprise, it's not that.
Wow.
It's not that. It's everyone is stuck in a way. Everyone's stuck differently, but it usually has to do something with healing, and being stuck is part of not healing that. So yeah.
No, that's fantastic. It's a common experience to have, whether it's a past trauma or something, just block us and make us be stuck. So the fact that you're helping people get unstuck, that's huge. In fact, we're wondering if you can tell us something about yourself, a little known fact, a hidden gem that most people don't know.
Little known fact. People don't know that one of my loves or would like to do would be to jump out of a plane.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's amazing. And why?
Yes, because I think it's exhilarating. I think maybe I really want to do it. I asked all my friends, like, no, I'll wait for you on the ground.
Well, so I have a feeling that someday someone's going to surprise you and say, sure, let's do it.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that. But I think me wanting to do it and then waiting for somebody to kind of go with me, it's kind of waiting on me now. So I got to do it now. So it's probably be next year.
Wonderful. And, I think it's amazing that you're able to pull out of that if you keep waiting for someone else, it may not go up. So you're going to step out on that ledge, take the leap, and you're going to have to come back and tell us how it went, okay?
I will. I definitely will. It'll be all over the social media.
Now,
I did it.
Yep. There's nothing like an achievement that you once thought you couldn't do. So I think that's great. Now, tell us a little bit more about your professional journey. Like, what were the speed bumps, roadblocks, things that just made you feel as if this is tough to overcome, but you were determined to be successful?
Well, I've owned my own real estate. So in the beginning, when I started working, when I was younger, and I had children pretty early. So I had to kind of make a decision on what I'm going to do for a career after college and everything. I was like, what am I going to do? And I started in the health field, working with those with developmental disabilities. You can only do that but so long, and then it starts kind of waning on your body. Even in a supervisory position, it can kind of, wane on your body. So I said, okay, this is going to take me only but so far. What do I do now? So I embarked on the career of real estate, and at that time, and that was in 1999, 1999. And by in that time, there was a lot of men, this men-dominated industry, men, everything. And I was surrounded by sarcastic um, men who ruled with an iron fist, actually. You do this, you do that, and women are supposed to be in the background. That's literally how they put you. And I said, I think I can do this. You know, what that was like, I think I can do this. I think, I was one to always test the waters. So if they told me make phone calls, I wouldn't make phone calls. I would go out and knock on doors.
Okay.
It would be the opposite. I was like, that's not working for them. Let me see what I can do out. And I was always one in the field. So I was always talking with everyone, about anything. And I was very successful. So at the next year, I said, okay, I'm not going to sit around. Took the test on the blind, the broker test on the blind, passed with flying colors. I went to Manhattan to get it done in one day. That's how anxious I was. And I took the test. And so, in real estate, if you're a broker, if you get a broker's license, you can only be associate broker. So the particular broker I was under, he was not happy about that. He was not happy. He was like, your competition now, and I was like, oh. So we parted ways. He didn't want me to leave, but we parted ways. I opened my office in 2002.
Okay.
And it was a very hard area, and it was in Wyandanch, a very hard area, but it was in an area that I knew that I could make a difference in. And in that office, I had 15 agents. And within 1 year, I had 15 agents, 2 assistants, and then we moved over. We opened another office in Quorum the very next year.
Phenomenal.
So working with the different agents and teaching them everything that I knew, I felt that was what I wanted to do, because I didn't get that. I didn't get that at all. And learning that a leader doesn't lead, that leader teaches whoever that they're training to lead like them. And everything they. And I never worried about if they were going to go out on their own. I never worried about that. I treated everyone fairly. So the journey with business was very hard. And then I had a business partner in the Quorum office that did nothing. And it was like, it was like, so when you're dealing with an entrepreneurial decision, your journey, it's really learning your self-control. A lot of it self-control. A lot of it is learning how to do business. Emotions have nothing to do with business.
Amen.
Has nothing to do with it. And we see that a lot. And when I did find myself being emotional, it was probably not about business. It was about something else, From that part of the journey, during all of that, I was a co-pastor in a church, and my division was the youth. So I was always creating events and things for the youth. So during all of that, I said, let me make a program, for youth with this type of situation. And I was the first in my community to open up a vacation Bible school that had large amounts of children and so many sponsors. The parents used to love to have them come. I think I had one night just for, it only lasts 2 weeks, that. And we had 30 children. I had to get volunteers, but we had 30 children to spend the night at the church. Wow. So you can sleeping over, you can imagine. So, I've done a lot of firsts, and I've done a lot of learning how to work with people, and how that these 2 hands are not just for picking up things for yourself, but touching other people's lives.
And as you went through those monumental achievements, what did you learn
Mhm.
about yourself?
I was cooler than what I thought I was. I was calmer. I I could teach and be taught, um, and also I can lead as well as be led, and
Mhm.
that's important. I mean, sometimes as women, we're being told something that we already know, and we're mhm. And men do say, "No, I know that already." I know that already. You have to tell me that. But I've learned that patience. And um, I also learned too that emotionally I was still not healed from a lot of things, and parts of my business suffered because I
Mm.
wasn't. Um, I swept things under the rug. Some of us do at some time, and sweep it under the rug, and we'll get to it later, kind of thing. Or, we'll put it over here. We'll put it on the shelf. We'll put it on the altar. We'll put it over there. All those things we do, and then we forget about it's there. Then when something comes up, it acts out, and be like,
Right.
why do I act like that? And I learned that I had to heal those things in order to be a great leader. I had to heal those things.
Wonderful. And, I think it's also commendable that you struck a beautiful balance. Like you said, if you're going to lead, sometimes you have to be led. And
Yes.
if you're going to learn, that's going to help you be a better teacher.
Yeah.
So those qualities in tandem, so beautiful.
Yeah.
And
Thank
speaking
you.
of emotion, were you going to say something?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay.
I said yeah.
Well, speaking of emotion, I think about how the pandemic specifically has
Yeah.
heightened so much in the way of fear, anxiety. What are your coping mechanisms? What have you found as great outlets or resources to help you through the tough days?
Well, what I found, and I think I've started this in 2007, right
Mhm.
after my car accident, and I didn't know what it was. When you do something and you're led by the spirit, so you don't really know what it is. And it was just sitting quiet and alone, and not that I wasn't thinking about nothing, but I wasn't. I was allowing myself to be aware of myself.
Mhm.
So it then kind of migrated into meditation. So I don't give that up during the day. So everything that I do is I have to do that first.
Mm.
Um, and I make sure that I do it because then I'm not centered for the day. And if I have to get up a little bit earlier, and normally I don't. I mean, it could be 30 minutes, but it's something that you could sit aside just for yourself. Even when you're drinking your coffee, it doesn't have to be, when there's so many ways to meditate. So many. There's walking meditations. There's actually just sitting meditations. There's guided meditations. There's just meditations, you having your coffee in your hand and just sipping on it and realizing where you are. So there's so many ways to meditate, and that's one of the ways. I think our world has gotten to the point where everything's fast. Everything's
Mhm.
okay. I don't have enough time in the day, so I got to get going. I'm gonna do this. I gotta do 50 things in 50 minutes, and I think it's completed. And I think that's what our problem is, and thus the anxiety being inside. We have conformed to this word busy,
Mhm.
very busy, very busy. Well, if you take busy apart, that means doing something either that goes to a cause or doesn't go to a cause.
Yeah.
So it's like this. It's like this. Busy's this. It's that. And I've learned to be occupied. When I'm
Nice.
occupied, I'm productive. So I'm occupied with something that has the reason why I'm doing it and the
Mm.
result that I'm going to get from doing it. So I've learned that not to be busy, and I think that's what's gotten our anxiety. We can't sit still. We've not learned to sit still and be alone with ourselves, or in solitude. We can't sit still.
Mm.
Not Westerners.
Mm.
Not Westerners.
Yeah. No, that's a very valid point. It's almost as if instead of running towards a goal, we're running away from something.
Right.
And so when you stay busy, then you're absolutely right. You don't have to think, you don't have to feel, but what you described, that it's like an active disconnect.
Yep.
You're living with
It's like a
intention.
magnet. It's just like a magnet on the other side. You know how you
Mhm.
put the two magnets together, they're supposed to stick, but you're
Yep.
flipped over because you're so busy, you're going the other way,
Yep.
and the magnet's pushing you, just the other side just pushing you away. It's
Yeah.
the same energy, the same energy.
Wonderful. No, that's great. And what I admire about that is then you take the same energy and you project that into something meaningful, so that fear, that anxiety, those are forms of energy, but you're taking and making it something that can be useful. That's great.
Right. Yeah.
Wonderful.
And you're allowed to feel fear and anxiety, but you also are responsible for figuring out where it's coming from and then channeling where it needs to go.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's an assumption that in and of themselves, they're evil. And if you have them, there's something wrong with you. But clearly, our God doesn't make mistakes. It's an intentional part of us knowing you need to fix something. And, when our cars are broken, we take them to the mechanic. So why not address the issue, do the fix, and come out stronger? So good point. Good point. Yeah. And so also curious, what or who would you consider your top 3 sources of inspiration?
What or who? Maya Angelou. Well, Shirley, you don't know, but Shirley Chisholm is my favorite. When I first came to New York in 76, and I saw her on television, I was like, Mom, who is that lady? And I'm like 7. Mom, who's that lady? She said, she's running for, I think she said governor at the time. And I was like, she was up there. She was like, shaking her hand, and she was standing there, and she was like dressed with the glasses, and she was so finely pressed. I was like, I want to be like her.
Wow.
And she made such an impression on me that she's one of the ones that I really admire. If you don't have a seat at the table, bring a folding chair.
Get in there.
And Maya Angelou, how just her tenacity, overcoming everything that she did. And she knew that she stopped talking for a while, but then she started writing. So I thought that was great. And how she had no filter, like, I'm old. What are you going to do to me? Say what I want to say now, And I like that part of that. She realized every, I guess, decade of her life, she recognized it and she embraced it. And my final person, I think I lean towards a lot of young Lavenza, and I lean towards her a lot. Just her straightforwardness. That's what I think I like about her, the straightforwardness with her, and how she strikes the balance of spirituality, religion, her field of work, her profession, and she strikes that entire balance, and family. She strikes that balance really well. That she took a little while to do it, but she's finally struck that balance. So I think,
and the key is not to give up. She kept at it. She kept at it. No, and all of those are fantastic choices. When you mentioned Maya, it made me think, I want to say I was in 7th grade when I read I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings.
Yes.
And,
yes. Yep.
It's one of those things where, it encouraged me to pursue my poetry, to pursue speaking out, to have a voice. What's amazing about all those examples you referenced is we too forget, you never know who's watching.
Exactly.
You never know whose life you're touching, whose heart you're stirring. So the key is to keep going, because simply because you don't know doesn't mean someone isn't depending on you.
Right.
So
it's true.
That's beautiful.
Very true.
Now, which accomplishment so far are you the most proud of? Which one brings you the most joy?
I think writing, just my writing in general, because that was my beginning of my voice and my myself the voice.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in the arena of having a voice and revealing things, a lot of people are still like bitter.
Mm.
They write, they're very bitter, and when they speak, it's still that bitterness there. But I'm thankful that God taught me forgiveness a long time ago, and I knew that it was there for me, and it helped me because I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was, and I'm always trying to learn about myself. I don't, not that I don't care about anyone else. What is it that this is trying to teach me? Bad or good?
Right.
And what is it trying to teach me? But I think the gift of forgiveness had me to write a lot clearer when I was writing for my book called Stuff. The things that no one told us about life after sexual abuse as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
That gave me the insight to the forgiveness gave me the insight not to write to recompense or get vengeance, because we can write like that. We can really write like that. But I've been to a couple events and heard people's writings, and I'm like,
Or you know what? I'm going to have you repeat from the point where you said you've been to some events and you've heard people speak from, because it froze up on me.
They speak on their books. They give the readings from their books, and I talk to them. But the way that they're writing them is so triggering to other people because they're still in there. I need to get recompense for this. That someone has to pay for this.
Mm-hmm.
And when you write, you don't write to give a solution or help to someone else. You just write because that's your pain, and you're writing it out, and it's supposed to kind of like help someone. When you write, you're really sharing what you've learned, what happened to you, what was going on in the middle, and then what's the solution to help the reader. That's what it's really about. And just talking to them, I could say, you really haven't healed from that. Great idea to kind of like release that, because then you'd have to release something else to kind of, once you get to forgiveness, and you kind of heal everything, like, that was the worst thing to write, And yeah, it probably was, it's true. Probably all of it's true, But did you give the reader something to kind of hold on to called hope? Did you give it to them? Probably not.
That's powerful. And, I love that you emphasize writing from that place of forgiveness, because I can only imagine that once you attained that, it freed up so much space for you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I started writing like crazy. It's like, it's just, and then sometimes even when I look at my books now, I'm like, I wrote that? Wow. It's like, wow, I wrote that? And you really get, in awe of yourself when you're writing from that space, that seat of the soul. You really are just so, you look at yourself and say, wow, God really did make somebody really cool, really nice, really amazing, and you appreciate yourself.
Yes.
And then we're not taught that either. But that's a whole different thing. We're not taught about being appreciative of ourselves.
Well, you can't give from an empty cup. So you have to start with loving you to love someone else. You're right.
Exactly.
Yes. So what do you think? Do you choose your calling, or does your calling choose you, and why?
Okay, so what do I think? Does I choose? No, because, a calling is different. And I think I was talking about this before. I was at a church service and someone said that to me, that I was a minister.
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, the definition meant something different. in my mind. And I'm like, I'm a free bird. My wings are spread open. I can fly everywhere, be going everywhere, doing everything. And I was like, but I have to stay here to do that. I have to stay here and do that. And it was very confining. But I didn't. The calling called me, and it was in me. And I'll tell you why. It didn't look the same as I saw it in my head. One day that I was deciding, and God had spoken to me and told me that I had to leave where I was serving at. And I was like, yeah, but I'm supposed to be doing this all the time. I'm negotiating with God. I'm like going back and forth with God. So I left. I thank God that God kind of orchestrated all of this. Mm-hmm. And I was able to have a sit down with the pastor, and the deacon was actually there, which was great. And we had a conversation. I explained to where my place was, what God was saying to me. And he wasn't happy, but he had to say, okay. And so I left, and I said, okay, God, you got me out here. I am woman in it. I've been doing this 29 years. What am I going to do now? What's this picture look like? I think I wandered maybe 6 months to a year. Still didn't know what, And then finally, I went back to the church. I said, I can't. Yeah, I'm so used to going. I got to go here. Got to go. So I went, and it was the First Lady's anniversary. And so I sat in the back, and that day the spirit was really, really high, and I started crying. So I was like, okay, I'm getting emotional because I left here, and I realized what was going on. So I got up and said, let me go outside and kind of calm myself down. So I go outside, and I walk around the back of the building, and I see these two trees, and they were both the same exact tree. They were cherry trees with those little cherry blossom flowers.
Yeah.
The little red in the middle and a pink around it. One had nothing. It was standing right next to. They were standing right next to each other, and one had was dried out. Had the same dirt around on the ground, no blooms or anything, and then the other had the blooms. It was like the blooms were blowing in the wind. Right? And I heard God say really clearly, you want to be like that, or you want to be like this?
It's a choice, yeah.
And I was like, so what I was being so, as creatures of habit, you do something so long, okay. And all I had to do was, okay, God, what's next? That's all I had to say. God, what was next? And before you knew it, I was in China. Before you knew it, I was marrying, officiating weddings, officiating funerals. I was doing amazing things, and I didn't have an affiliation to any church. It still is amazing. What I'm doing now, it still is amazing. I mean, open doors that I never thought would be open, and didn't think, past that. I was so limited, but ministry is everywhere. Everything you do is ministry. When you touch lives and change them, ministry.
Fantastic. And I love too how you mentioned that word limit, because many times we're living in limits that we don't know we placed. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like this invisible barrier fence around. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But if we could just go and open the door and let all of that abundance in, we'd be amazed. So I'm sure you have so many phenomenal things still coming your way. Very curious, so our listeners know, what are you working on? What new projects of yours should we be on the watch for?
Well, look for Women Right Now.
Okay.
And it's a curated book of, I'm one of the curators, and it started in 2019, but because of the pandemic, kind of got sidetracked. But it's 25 amazing writers. They write about their trauma and how they got over their trauma. And Um, it's going to be launching. I think they said in January. I just got a call from one of the publishers.
Okay.
So it's really exciting. We've been working on it for a while, but it's really exciting. So look for that. That's going to be one of the books that I've curated.
Okay.
So that'll be something new. Something new.
Woman right now. Got it.
Right
And
now.
I have all of your contact, social media, your website. I'm going to make sure that's in the description for those that want to get in touch with you. Do you have a preferred method if someone wants to get in touch with you quickly? All of it works. Okay.
All of it works.
Okay. And so we got one more question to wrap up today.
Okay.
It's a bit more hypothetical, but
Okay.
if you could go back in time 20 years and you had just 2 minutes to confront your younger self, what do you say?
My younger self. 20 years?
Mm-hmm.
You are enough.
Mm. Wonderful.
So-
Wonderful. And you know, the real intent of that question is to make sure that 20 years from now, you're still saying that to yourself.
Every
And,
day.
and that way there are no limits, you know.
Right.
So we are so grateful again, Miss Edna J. White, that you squeezed us into that busy schedule of yours. Go out there and keep doing amazing things. To all our
Thank you.
listeners, make sure that you make today amazing and hold your loved ones tight. Let them know how you feel, because every day is a gift. And we cannot wait to see the beautiful things that come your way, Miss Edna, okay?
Yes, and same to you. Thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
Our pleasure, our pleasure. Stay safe, be well, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Bye for now.
Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to share this video and like, comment, and subscribe. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at NewYouWell. Until next time, stand tall in your power and remember, your belief in yourself is your superpower.